how to check or build your credit history. In this episode, I'm going to be covering all the essentials you need to do. Don't worry about writing notes. Everything I'm talking about is available in the show notes. You can get those at zulftalks.com. Today's topic, we're going to be covering everything so you're sorted out for credit history. Understanding credit reports. Check your credit report. How to check it for free. I'm going to show you a resource for that. Register on the Electoral Roll. Open a bank account. Apply for credit builder card. Use credit responsibly. Avoid multiple applications. Consider credit builder loans. These are all broken down to sections. So I've done little bits so I can speak about. And patience. So shall we get on to the number one option? Understanding credit reports. What is it about? If you followed this series, you'll know I've been talking about money matter issues on the Zulf Talks podcast. And what we're talking about when we're talking about understanding credit reports is simply, it's a place where people store, well, I would say people, companies store information about you. It's like a big gossiping place. So they want to see, did he borrow money from that company? Has he paid it back? When did he borrow it? Why didn't he pay it back? It's basically, that's all it is. And other people can see the conversation. When I say other people, other banks can see the conversation and decide if, you know what, yeah, this guy's okay, we can borrow him money. That's the essence of it. But if you understand your credit report, it will help you because you can look at it, you can see what's showing on there. You can actually early on see if someone's been applying for stuff in your name, because there's a section there which shows searches that have happened for you. And if someone's got your name wrong or they've done a search with the incorrect information, that's all available in this place. It's basically a company, multiple companies that store the credit reference agency records, and they show, is he doing well, is he not doing well, has he borrowed money, is he not paying it back. That's in essence what a credit report is. So again, in this episode, I'm going to go through them in a natural episode where you can actually understand it from like a journey. So to check your credit report, number one, I'm going to give you a resource of how you can check it. Let me bring this up for you now. So this is a site that I've used quite a lot. I'm signed up for it. I'm not covered by it. I'm not endorsed or anything. It's not like a paid sponsorship or anything. Credit Karma. You can create and log in, sign in, create a free account, and you can check your credit score. Yep. Shall I log in as me? And shall I? Let me think about it. Let me see what shows up. So I've just logged in, but there's too much information there, so I'm not going to share that. What I will do instead is I'll show you an example credit report. I'll talk you through this if you're listening on the podcast. I've just brought up an example of a credit report. So what they basically do is they give you a breakdown of all the accounts you own that contain your name. So this can be joint accounts as well, mortgage, credit installments, car loans. They'll give you a breakdown of the types of funding you're borrowing. It'll show you a history of searches that have taken place on you. They'll also suggest ways of improving your credit report. So it's like, you know, there's quite a lot there. You can check your report on that Credit Karma. I'll put this in the show notes. Let me put this in the show notes. Yep, so I've added that link into the show notes. So when you download those, you'll have that available to check later on. So you don't have to, if you're listening to this now, you don't have to rush to like, oh, remember it. Because I know when I listen to podcasts or I hear someone speak about something, oh, that's very important. And then after it finishes, I forget about it. So that's why I've got the resources section. Okay, checking your credit report. We've done that. I've had a look at it. Register on the Electoral Roll. There's a little bit here which can help you. There's a lot of people that don't register for Electoral Roll, but I think if you're looking at credit reports, this is a big helper. It just confirms that you live at the address you do and you can vote and how long you've been living there. And that goes a big way of going towards credit reports because they use that as like a source of confirming this person's real, he's been living where he says he's been living. And that's quite handy because if they can verify who you are, you're more likely to have a better credit score because they can borrow money to you safe in the knowledge that they can come and knock down your door. Basically, that's what it is. But yeah, that's something to consider, especially if you're not on the Electoral Roll. If you're old enough, well, you'll have to be old enough to be Electoral Roll because you'll only be borrowing money if you're old enough because you can't borrow money unless you're like 18 over. So yeah, where possible, register on the Electoral Roll. That would help you. And it goes without saying, if you want to check out credit score and build your credit score, it goes without saying, open a bank account. If you don't have a bank account, you're not in the game. So you need to have an account. You can have we talked about this in early episodes, have a bank account, have a credit card, maybe have a savings account, build up history, borrow money and pay money back and create like a little bit of profile about yourself which they can see and understand who you are. That's why it's quite important to have each element of this, especially if you're looking to build your credit report and your credit history, and this applies to multiple places. You can go, UK, even worldwide, they use the same type of situation, and they're quite easy to apply for accounts these days. Go online, you can open up a bank account. Apply for a credit builder card. What is a credit builder card? Building your credit history, especially around this builder card, you know what? It's not a great option. So basically, a credit builder card is a high interest rate credit card for people that can't get credit cards. The reason they give you that is so you can show you're borrowing money, you're paying money back, and building your credit history. But you don't have to use a credit builder card. They just use this term to basically give you a card with a high interest rate and a low credit limit. What they're trying to say is, if you borrow with this card, you're building up a credit history. But that's not the only way to do it. You can apply for a credit builder card, but what you can do instead is look at things like if you have a bank account and you've got an overdraft limit and you're using money from your overdraft and paying it back, that's building history. If you've got a mobile phone contract, if you've got utility bills like a gas bill, electric bill, all these things are building your history as well. So you don't necessarily need to apply for a credit card, but I wanted to include this because a lot of credit reference agencies and other places will recommend it. But is that something that you need to worry about? Is more about using it responsibly. If you use it responsibly, the credit that you have got, you're more likely to do well. So for example, instead of applying for a credit builder card, I would look at something like, personally, my bank account, have another savings account, have another bank account in joint names, show that I've got multiple options, have a credit card, normal credit card, and pay it if I can't get a normal credit card if the history is not there. Look at my house bills. Do I have house bills in my name? Am I on the Electoral Roll? Can I have a telephone bill, mobile phone bill? Can I have gas, electricity on my name? Things that I'm paying for. That takes time. So that way you can slowly show that you've got a credit rating. And using it responsibly just basically means don't do silly things. If you're borrowing money, you got a deadline, pay it back in time. If you can't pay it back in time, you should not have borrowed the money. But I know there's limiting circumstances, people have challenges, but say for example you didn't have a credit card, how else would you have got that money? So there's people are stuck in different types of scenarios where it's hard and you will need to use money. But it's just the case that, are you just delaying the inevitable? Is it like you're borrowing money now and you'll have someone knocking down your door asking for the money? So it's a hard topic, but just following what I've been talking about over the podcast, if we slowly get into a mindset of preparing for borrowing and looking at it in a way of expenses versus borrowing and trying to get into a better position, I might do a dedicated episode about steps to help get out of, or might get a guest on or something. Let me know what you think is best. So then we can use this as a real life example. Like, okay, I've got X amount of money. What should I do? I'm in debt for the X amount of money. I don't know how to get out of it. Let's have a look at a real life example. That might be a good episode. Avoid multiple applications in a short period. So that is an important one, because when you're applying for multiple things in a short space of time, you're getting credit searches on your name. So the credit reference agency we talked about earlier logs every search you do. So if you apply for 10 credit cards, loans, and in short succession of time, it looks like this guy's desperate, he's looking for some money and he's run out of money. So in that eyes, having multiple applications can adversely affect you. It looks bad basically, and they're going to see like, wait, this looks a bit fishy, why is this happening? So just try and follow steps of planning ahead for the next 3 or 6 months or a year and applying slowly. So apply for a credit card, leave it for 3-4 months, apply for something else. Normally a month is probably fine as well, but just spacing it out so it's not rushed and it doesn't appear like the guy's desperate for money, if that makes sense. Consider credit builder loans in the same kind of arena as credit cards. There's loans out there as well, but loans are for higher amounts. So if you're having a loan, you're thinking about a bigger purchase. Realistically, if you follow along from the early episodes where we budgeted and we were saving for, in the last episode, how to save for a big purchase, that should not involve borrowing. You should save for what you want to buy, and that way you can avoid getting into this mindset of buying something you can't afford and then for the rest of your life being chased down for it, basically. So we want to make your life easy. We don't want you to have, when I say you, I don't want you to be suffering about this. Like, I don't want you struggling and thinking, you know what, I've got a debt to pay. I want it to be that you make the choice when you've got the money to buy the item you want to buy, which basically eliminates stress for you, because you won't have to worry about it. You're basically worrying about something you couldn't afford. The length of credit history does matter. So how long you've been building up your credit history is like a nice way to lead into this. So if you have a credit history and you've been building it up, mine is probably about 15 years worth of good stuff, as in from bank account to credit card, paying off my credit card regularly. Oops, what's going on there? Smashing up all the set. Yeah, so that's all part of the process, and the length helps you. So if you got a longer credit history, longer is always better. Is that what they say? Length of credit history matters, apparently. I don't know if that's true, but yeah. So I would say having it built up over time just proves that, okay, this guy is regularly reliable. Basically, that's what it is. If someone always comes, if you have an appointment with someone, they always come on time, okay, this guy's good. For 10 years. If someone new comes along and is okay in time for 2 times, you're like, okay, that's all right. But it's not noticeable until it's regularly a pretty long time. Yes, so it's not going to happen overnight. Building up a credit report, credit history takes time. Patience and persistence, meaning you may not get something, give it time, look at alternatives, make a further decision later on in life. If I can't get a credit card, okay, let's get a couple of bills in my name. I'm paying the bills in the house. Let me borrow some money from overdraft, pay that back. Let me think about a mobile phone contract. Can I get another contract in my name? It's just little things like this to help show you've got options out there, and then that helps you. And if you don't get something, give it a couple of months and then try again at a later point and see how that works for you. If you keep applying, like we mentioned earlier, it's not going to be great. Again, everything I talked about today is available at zulftalks.com, where you can click the button show resources. Let's summarize so we know what we covered today. So we did understanding credit reports, like we had a free resource where you can check it for free. How to check your credit report, I gave you a quick overview of things to look at. This we can go into more details for, which we may do in later episodes. You can register for the Electoral Roll, basically voting, which shows you live at your address, which is good for proof. Opening a bank account, simple things like credit cards, looking at bills, things like that to help build your credit. Using your credit responsibly. Avoid multiple applications in short periods of time. If you're getting rejected, for example, even if you're getting approved and you're getting things come through, it's not always great to have too many things at the same time. Just space them out. Consider credit builder options such as loans, credit cards, but realistically you should be planning for these types of purchases and saving for them if you can. Length of credit history can matter, and patience, it does take time. So I'm hoping you found this episode useful, because I broke down a number of challenges for you, and you will find in the next episode here I will be talking about how mortgages work. So a little overview, especially if you're new to the arena, and you can see how that they work and what to consider if you're thinking about borrowing towards a mortgage. It can get interesting. So hopefully this helps you, and I will see you on the next episode. It would be really good if you can leave a review wherever you're listening to this. The show resources are available at zulftalks.com. You can also sign up to the mailing list there, which will allow you to get information to help you on your journey working for yourself.